Welcome to It's a Woman's World, where we'll meet achieving women making a difference in our community. I'm Carolyn Bruna. Our guest is Alyscia Cunningham, photographer and author of a new full-color book, Feminine Transitions, a photographic celebration of natural beauty. Welcome, Alyscia.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, well, I'm happy that you're here. Being a new author, it's fun and exciting. So tell us, I know your full-color book was recently launched, photography book. So what's it like being a new author?
Well, it's exciting. It's something different. I've been an artist pretty much all my life, from what I can remember. And so this is something new for me, and I'm just looking forward to the experience.
The whole experience
right,
of it. Yeah. Okay, great. Now, you said you've been an artist. What was the first moment that you knew that you felt, yes, you were an artist? How did that happen?
Well, I grew up of a family. My father's an artist. He's a painter, and he also does charcoal and pencil, so he draws as well. So I've pretty much been around it all my life. And about in the 3rd grade is when I started. At that time, I was living in New York, but I picked up one of the comic strips from New York Times, and I drew a Garfield cartoon. Yes. So I used to trace it before, but this was my first time doing it freehand, and that's when I realized I can draw. Right.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting. So you didn't draw freehand before that?
No, before that, no. Well, maybe I did when I was younger, but I don't remember that.
Oh.
But I know when I started remembering was when I had tracing paper and was tracing the cartoons that way.
Yes. Yeah.
And then in the 7th grade was when I saw Rolling Stones magazine, and there was a picture of a hip-hop artist, Tupac. So I drew him, and I was amazed to see that I actually drew a person. So from there, I realized that I can actually draw people as well. Right, yeah.
Oh, that is an amazing discovery, really, because I used to love tracing. And I would do that a lot, but I never could draw without the tracing. Right. So we were able to make that transition.
Right.
That's great. So now, your background in photography, what is it, and when did you start taking pictures and that?
Well, I started with photography. Really, it was I wouldn't say there was an accident, but it wasn't planned. I went to Montgomery College, and I was a general major, so I didn't have a particular major as yet at that time. And I took photography one as an elective. And from there, I fell in love with it, with the first class. I was doing art and other things, but this was my first photography class. And from there, the professor really encouraged me. He was like, I think you really have an eye, so I think maybe you should consider it. And I went from there, I took more classes and switched my major. Yeah.
So that was your first photographic decision.
Right, yes.
And this is a big switch, a big change.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
yes.
Oh, gosh, that's exciting. And Montgomery College, so you're here in the area, which is exciting and fun, too. Yeah. Describe your style of photography. What would you say, how would you depict your style?
My style, I would say, normally it's, I would say it's distinctive. I don't really have a particular, as far as, what I do shoot. Well, I do photograph, first of all, portraits. That's my favorite, portraits and lifestyle. Lifestyle is kind of like, you shoot people in their environment. But I also love playing with light and shadow. So most of my images tend to be a little on the dark side because I more appreciate, I think you pay attention more to the photograph when there's a little bit more of a, shadow highlight kind of thing to it. So, yeah, that's more my style.
By the dark side, we don't mean going to the dark side.
No.
You mean black and white and
black
shadows.
and white, right, yes. Just like shadows and highlights. No, because you can more see the depth of something, I think, when there are shadows and highlights, as compared to if it was just a flat image,
Yes.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But now your book is a new full-color book, but then by full color, you don't necessarily mean vivid colors. You mean full coloring, shadowing, or what?
Full color meaning 4 colors, so it's all, instead of black and white, it's color.
Oh, it is
color.
Yeah,
it is color, right, yeah. Because, most of my images tend to be black and white, but this is this is a full color photography book. Right,
okay, yeah. You have to show some of your, we're going to show some of your images as we speak.
Okay.
So, And then what inspired you to create these images? I know I was looking through your website. Actually, give your website right now so people could also go there eventually, not during the show.
Right. Okay.
I'll wait after the show.
Oh, right.
And look at your website and see some of your images and your book cover and such.
Okay.
So what is your website?
It's Alyscia.com, so it's ALYSCIA.com. And once they go there, you can navigate through my book tab as well, which will give you more information on my book, and my photography is in my gallery page, as well as my social media links.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
Your links, yeah, and they're all there. Good.
They're all there as well. Yeah.
Right. So now let's talk about what inspires you to create, and how does that inspiration show up in your work?
Normally, my inspirations come from my visions. I tend, and the best way to explain this is, things come to my mind at first. So, for example, if I wanted to take a picture if I had an idea to take a picture of someone, normally the idea comes to me first. So I visualize it, and then I capture the image from what I visualize. So I don't know if that makes sense, right?
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's unique, and it's. I know if I see something, or if let's say I have a dinner party and I see people were there, then later on I can think about that party, and I can see the people sitting around the table. But it's something that has happened. But you're actually visualizing something that you are using for inspiration and then will photograph.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right, yes.
So I don't quite, that's a whole different visualization process that I don't quite understand or see that. Do you see it as a picture in your mind?
I see it, as a picture. And so exactly the way I photograph it is exactly the way that I saw it. Yeah, so I normally visualize first, and then from what I visualize, I sketch it, just so I can keep that thought.
Oh, I see.
So I normally have a pencil. I just sketch the image that I pictured, and then I photograph it from there. Right, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's very interesting.
Yeah.
But then you're seeing images of people.
Right.
Now your photography is this book is women.
It's women, right.
Women,
right,
which we'll talk about in a moment.
Okay.
But so you actually, but you don't see the faces. What do you? You can't find the woman who was in your vision.
Right.
How do you do that?
Well, it's normally I just would see a general perspective kind of thing. I would just see an image, like for my book, for example, with feminine transitions. I visualize the title of my book, and I also visualize the portraits. So just pictures the way I have it, with all bare, no makeup. Actually, the makeup wasn't a thing at that time, but just bare photographs of portraits of women, just straight head-on shots is what they call it. So just looking into the camera, and so from there I sketched that out. I wrote the name down, and I sketched the portrait, how I pictured it, and I started from there. Oh, yes.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, since you've mentioned the book, let's talk about that then and go on to your new book. And these, the feminine transitions are all photographed in this book, of course. And so you said something about photographing natural beauty, and you were telling me a story when we first met.
Right.
I don't know if you recall about when you first started photographing the women, something didn't look quite right to you, and you realized it was the makeup they had on. Tell us that process and how that occurred.
Well, yes. Well, when I first started, I was actually just I wanted to celebrate women or females in general. So it's all age groups. My youngest model is 7 weeks, and the oldest is 103. She's 106 now, and still doing well, thankfully. But I just wanted to have all bare, so no accessories or anything, just to show a natural portrait. And I started photographing younger to older. And there was at one point I was looking through the camera, and I was a little bothered, and I couldn't figure out what it was. So I did take a few pictures, and afterwards I realized that I couldn't see her natural lines because her makeup filled in the lines. So I had asked her at that point. I asked her if she would mind removing her makeup, so I can just photograph it that way, and that became the requirement at that time. So just it's all natural photographs. Yeah.
And so then, starting with this one woman, then you expanded, and then you asked all of them.
Yes.
Did you ask them before they were going to pose for you, so they knew what was expected?
Well, that was my challenge, because in the beginning I didn't state that. I was just asking them if they wanted to be a part of my book, and they were excited. And then when they found out, they're like, "Oh no, I'm not doing it without the makeup." So just to make sure that I made time, valuable for everyone, I mentioned that in the beginning, and I asked everyone who was also helping me to do the scouting to mention that as well. Yeah. So then that way they knew what they were coming into.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
So you had people helping you scout out. So how did you explain to them this is the type of woman who I want? A woman who has a different bone structure, or how did that go?
No, actually, the only requirement was that she was just female, of course, and that you were open to being photographed without makeup and all bare. So it was also a shot where it may have looked like they were nude, but they had their shoulders, their shirts either pulled down below the shoulder, so you just see, you see the skin, really.
Right.
Or some women just felt free and just took their shirts off and just like, I'll just take the picture.
Well, they were just with you, in the studio, so it wasn't so terrible. Well, good. That's interesting. And then, so now your idea, though, is what was the youngest age? And the oldest, you said, is now 106.
106, right.
And, oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
And the youngest was how old?
She was 7 weeks at that time.
7 weeks?
And she's 3 years old now.
Oh, and she's 3 years old.
And
Did you keep up with these women at all? Did you see them?
Yeah, I do. I go to a few of their functions sometimes, particularly the older women. And I still keep up with them just to let them know what's going on. Like since I recently published my book, about 3 weeks ago, I've let them know that the book is published, and any events that I have, that I keep them up to date on what's going on as well. So they just they're involved in everything. Right, yes.
And so your book is celebrating natural beauty.
Yes.
At all ages.
All ages. Right, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's very exciting. Really. Yeah. So now. As an emerging artist, do you find it easy or difficult for somebody to come to you or to talk about your work and when somebody says, "Oh yes, I see your book," what are your goals and how does that all feel?
Well, as an emerging artist, I find it normally people I do receive really positive responses from when people do view, either where it's my work or my photography work or my book. The only thing that I find to be a little challenging is I'm still local. So I always mention to people that I think it's the best recognition is when you're probably known more on a global scale, or if the local work that you're doing is a lot more productive, so meaning more work than, because I'm self-employed. So I think it'll be more beneficial if it was something that if it was a name well known, because a name that's well known does receive more, they receive more work or more contracts or things like that.
Yes.
Right,
now, when you said your normal work and then the book, is your photographic journey and work and business photographing women only, or do you expand your actual business?
Well, I do. It's not just women only. I do prefer photographing women because there's a different strength with women, and we give birth, so. There is a unique strength, I believe, with women. I photograph everyone, whoever's comfortable with me photographing them. But my feminine transitions, the portraits in there, since it is more so like headshot, well lit, it's a little different than my regular or my normal style, which is what I mentioned to you, the dark highlights.
Oh, right, I see.
Yeah. So it's just, but I'm versatile, so it's not just one particular work that I do. People hire me to do different things, and this is just outside of what people have normally seen. Right? Yes. Yeah.
And I was reading that you also have some very lofty goals, which are very commendable. So tell us your main goal, that I know where you want to go with your work and your business. Okay.
Well, yes, I would like to eventually travel outside of Maryland and shoot commercially. Because I still don't, and I normally get that reaction from people when they say, this is portraiture, but it has a commercial feel to it. So sometimes I don't really know where to put my my style into a particular category. Even though it's portraits, it still has maybe like a fine art feel to it. So I would hopefully like to. Oh, and I also want to do work with videography, so like shooting movies then. So being kind of like behind the scenes, taking pictures of a movie.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a break. Maybe we'll talk a little bit more when we get back about your goals, your future.
Okay.
We'll break for a short public service announcement.
Packers. Viking. Packers. Viking. Viking.
Red state. Blue state. Vegan.
Carnivore.
We come from different places.
Uptown.
Downtown.
Optimist.
We come to different conclusions.
Half empty.
Half full.
But when we live united, we create real, lasting change in the building blocks of life. The education, income, and health of our communities, our families,
United.
even the person next to us.
Live united.
Real change won't happen without you. So give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Sign up at liveunited.org.
Welcome back to It's a Woman's World. We're speaking with Alyscia Cunningham, who has a brand new book out, Feminine Transition. Alyscia, when we ended the first half, we were talking a little bit about your future, your goals, and your career, and you mentioned video.
Right.
What do you mean by wanting? Of course, you're a photographer. So
Right.
we've been talking about that in the book, and that your main photography seems to be you love the shadows.
Right.
And the book is also women, and I guess it's not really shadows, is it? It's what do you call them? Headshots?
It's headshots, right, yes.
Headshots
Yeah.
of women.
Right.
And some beautiful ones, and some women from very young to very old, because now the woman who was 93 at the time is now 96.
Well, 100, the 103 is 106 now.
Oh, 100,
Right, yes.
that's even better.
Right.
103 to 106.
Right,
so
yes.
it's beauty at every age.
Yes, right, exactly.
Yeah,
right, yes.
yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And now let's just go into the photography, the videography, and explain that a little bit. I didn't understand it at first.
Okay. Yes, well, when I mentioned I want to also shoot photography stills, maybe I should have clarified that a little bit. It's like there's a photographer normally who's photographs the movies. So if you're on set, like for example, as we're speaking here, sometimes there may be a photographer that's maybe off the set photographing us speaking. So it's the same thing with movies. So and it's called movie stills. So that's what I would like to also get into as well. And normally it's not typically, well, there are a few movies that I know that have been shot in the DC area, but it's more so I think California and New York. Just to be behind the scenes, taking pictures.
Oh,
Yes.
interesting. Yeah, no, I hadn't heard that. Well, it's a specialized field within
Right.
photography, within movies,
Right,
within that
yes.
whole film milieu,
Right,
or
yes.
genre, I guess I should say.
Right.
Yeah, well, that's very interesting. Right. And when you were speaking about the photographs and the women and wanting to get to go global, I right away was thinking of Annie Leibovitz. Have you?
Oh,
do you
right,
know her?
yes.
What? Yeah.
Yes, I love her work.
Of
Right,
course.
yes.
You know, she's from this area. Actually, she went.
Oh,
to,
really?
She
Oh,
went to
okay.
school in Montgomery County,
Oh, okay. I
high
know
school.
that.
Yeah,
Oh,
and so
okay.
she started out in this area, and of course, she's very well known.
Right, yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
And globally, right.
Globally,
Right, yes.
exactly, exactly. You
Yeah.
should look her up and call her and say, "Gosh."
I never
Yeah.
thought about that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
absolutely. It's the way to network.
Right, yeah.
There you go.
Okay, yeah.
But also, I was interested in the challenges, and since we're talking about other people and in society, you have a theory about, or your ideas about society and how, and it of course affects women.
Yes.
Our view of ourselves is influenced so much by ads and by society
Right, yeah.
and by other people today. So what are your views about that in relationship to photography?
Well, it definitely, society has a big impact on, I think, the negative perceptions of ourselves. There's rare that you go anywhere, let's say, for example, billboards, even on the buses, magazines, of course, TV. Everything now is about anti-aging. Like, I hear this term flawless so often, and there's no such thing. And what they fail to comment on or to mention is that all of the images that they do produce on TV and on any kind of online ads or printed ads, they're all photoshopped or they're enhanced somehow. So what they're portraying to be is not really, it's a lie. So we have now a society of people that are trying to live by this flawless look, and then we have our elders, who I really feel sorry for, who are also trying to go with the whole anti-aging thing. So they're trying things to look younger,
Yes.
whether it is putting the mask on or actually going through surgery, And I'm not saying that I'm against it in any way. I'm not saying I'm against makeup or if you have to get surgery for any reason that may be necessary. But it's just I feel like it's has gone way overboard, and for me, what's most important is our younger generation. They're looking up to us, and we're the example. So what are we teaching them by not just with the media, but actually kind of going with what the media is doing. And I know there are a few companies that have been like trying to produce more of a positive look, like Kellogg's and Dove has been, the I'm not my size thing.
Yes.
And Dove has this whole natural beauty thing as well, True Beauty, I think they call it. But what I've found out recently is that Dove also photoshops. So then it's kind of like, it's, Yeah, it kind of contradicts itself.
Yeah,
you
even
know.
the ones that are called True Beauty.
Even the ones that are called True Beauty, right? Yeah, they're
Yes,
Yeah.
and well, of course, it's for magazines, and
Right,
and it's all for business and
Right.
making money and keeping the
Right.
businesses growing. But yes, I do understand that.
Right.
I have heard, though, more recently, a number of times, a number of people on TV or in other media saying that these images are photoshopped or
Right.
are touched or
Right.
airbrushed.
Yes,
I've heard
airbrushed.
that mentioned a lot. So I think more people are realizing, and hopefully the younger kids
Right,
who are, as you say, looking up to the older generation of women.
Right.
And I know women of white women particularly, of course, because I'm white, and then women of color are also influenced by this as well.
Oh,
so
yes.
it's all generations and all
It's-
ethnicities
yes,
and all.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
All generations, all ethnicities. There are different things, I think, with different ethnicities. Like, for example, with women of African descent, there has been, I would say it's more so an epidemic now with the wigs. You know, it just seems to be a lot of, so what about your own hair? You know, loving who you are rather than feel like you have to put a wig on just to be beautiful, you know. Right, yeah.
Oh, okay. I actually didn't realize it was just to be beautiful, because I thought, gee, it's a great, well, if you're having a bad hair day, it's a great idea.
Well, I mean, that is also, right. That's also, some women say that as well, but then it's way too many. It's, I mean, it's rare that, I know my husband and I were watching runners, and all of the runners had, they had weaves on, and I was just like, isn't it heavier, with the weave on, but
yes.
yeah, but it's just, I think it's, it's because like I mentioned also, I'm seeing little girls now. I see my daughter at her school, there was I think she was a first grader, and she had weaves on, or there's the Hannah Montana wigs and everything, and they're, and they just, they're accepting it because that's what they see.
Right, yeah, that is true. Actually, you're going to donate your own hair, you were telling me before the show.
Right.
And how long has your hair been like this? You said quite a few years.
Yes, my hair has been locked for 16 years now. I locked it in my 12th grade year, my senior year in high school. And I was mentioning, I wanted to cut it, I say for the past year or so now, just because I wanted to get back into swimming, as I mentioned before, and so I'm donating it to Zuri Works, which is an organization that has a healing through arts for women with cancer. And I will be donating it to their organization for their project they have called, I think it's called the Exposure Project. So I'll donate it to them for the proceeds. And it's Michelle Obama's hairdresser. I cannot remember. I believe his name is Johnny Wright. He will be cutting my hair and styling it for me afterwards.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, can anybody decide to donate their hair and do that?
Yeah, they can donate to, I know ZuriWorks.org, I believe, is their website, and they can donate to their organization as well.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's. I've heard of a few people now doing donations of hair to a number of different organizations, so they're easy to find online. People can look them up if they'd like to do that.
Yeah,
that's a great idea.
Yeah,
it's
thank
exciting.
you. It
You'll
is.
have a whole different look. You have to come back.
Right, yeah, it will be.
Yes.
Yeah, but I'm excited about it. Just something new, kind of like shedding of the old, and I'm just ready for something new.
Ready for a change
Yeah,
now.
I'm ready for a change.
With your new book and
yes.
new lifestyle.
And,
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And also, that we should mention, it's not only women who are influenced by the anti-aging movement going on in our country and in the world, really.
Right.
But men
Yes.
as well. And I know I read off and on more surgeries, as you were saying, by men.
yeah.
Not that I'm definitely not against it, but 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 you do wonder. And I think the only thing that I do worry about is the age of young children, when they have something wrong that they would want to change their plastic surgery. That's not necessarily an actual problem. It's just because they don't feel as pretty as they should.
And of course they're getting bullied. I mean, the media is they're bullies as well, so it's kind of like they're getting bullied at school, and then the media is bullying them. And what you mentioned about the men as well, that's very true, because they are getting surgery to, for implants, I think, like that for the hair, or, yeah.
So it's you were talking about the negative the negative impact of that is against our embracing our own natural beauty,
Right.
in other words. Is
Right.
that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's you know, because it affects us, and you can obviously see it within our society as well. And as I mentioned, of course, our children are watching us, so they are affected as well. And you know, I think we then live in a society of people who are, I'm not saying all, you know, but just
Right, right. No,
who
true.
are uncomfortable with themselves. Then, you know, and then it leads to things like, I mean, it could be dramatic, but I mean, it does go as far as sometimes people commit suicide, and they don't feel like they're good enough. And that's all ages. Children are doing it as well, and or just, I know Michael Bazin said it is, and he said it well when he mentioned that we're not introducing ourselves, we're introducing our representatives. So that's what it feels like, because it's like, I don't really know, you're not really being completely who you are, you know, and not really being comfortable in your own skin. So then it's really not you that you show, you know.
That's interesting. Who am I? Who I am.
Right.
And so showing myself.
Right.
Oh, it's very difficult, though, after so many years.
Right,
now,
yeah.
You think about going out without makeup. Although, well, I do at the swimming pool.
Oh, right, yeah.
You're sort of stuck there.
Right, yeah.
But it's interesting that you also said the media is a bully. Now, I've never heard anybody say that, but to that extent that the influence can actually, you're right, does harm. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And very interesting. Well, what message would you like our readers to take away?
Well, I would like just for readers in general just to know, and still tying in with my book, that I want, particularly for our younger generation, our little girls and boys, just to know that the media shouldn't be an impact on them, and I want them to be comfortable in their own skin and just love who they are. And also for the middle-aged women, which I seem to have the most difficult time with when I was doing my project, or those who backed out and decided they didn't want to do it. The same as well with them. I would like for them just to be comfortable with the changes that come with growing older, you know, graying hair, and as you can see, I have a head full of it. Started in my 20s, and just be comfortable with who they are.
I don't see any gray there, though.
Oh,
but
really?
Anyway.
Okay.
And I said our readers, of course, our viewers is what I meant to say,
Right.
yes. So that's an interesting point, and we'll close, just ending up talking about this. So from your experience, younger people were more apt to say, okay, I don't mind taking a photograph with no makeup on, and older women.
Yes.
But it's the middle-aged women who...
Yes. I had the most difficult time with. And that's why even in my book, that's the smallest number of women is that middle-aged.
Really?
I would say from about 40 to 55. I have the least amount of women in that age group.
Oh, very
yes, it's the
interesting.
smallest number, right?
Yeah. Okay. So, oh, goodness gracious. Well, leave us now with your website and the title of your book. Again, give us the whole full title.
Okay, yes. The title of my book is Feminine Transitions, A Photographic Celebration of Natural Beauty. And my website is www.alyscia.com, and that's spelled Alyscia. And I'm also on Facebook, Twitter, Flickr, Tumblr, LinkedIn. I'm pretty much on everything. And just look for Alyscia Cunningham.
Okay, great. Well, I wish you the best, and I hope that when you're a
you.
global artist, you'll come back and visit us again.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I hope you've enjoyed meeting our guest, Alyscia Cunningham, and you're inspired by her passions. If you know a woman who's gone above and beyond to contribute to our community, please email us. We're womensworldtv@aol.com. Remember, it's a woman's world. I'm Carolyn Bruna. See you next time.